Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit or Zappy here, back again with Demon Slayer Season 1. We are on episode 20, and in the last episode it was a fucking brilliant one. And yeah, obviously, like, clearly just the best fight of the show so far. Between Tanjiro and Rui. Rui obviously was the one, like, one of the 12 Kizuki, and he was the Lure 5 one, specifically. And yeah, Tanjiro was definitely under the cosh, but yeah, he brought out something that was a surprise. A breathing form that is kind of unheard of to the rest of the fucking Demon Slayer Corps, I'd imagine. Unless, obviously, I guess they could have seen it firsthand through the father. But, yeah, I mean, so the Hinokami dance breathing, I believe it's called. I mean, that's what the subtitle said, and that's what Tanjiro said, so I assume that that's what it's called, and it's not just straight up fire breathing. The visuals would relate that it's kind of fire breathing, but I mean, regardless, it's fucking cool nonetheless. And I'm guessing it takes a toll on you. Tanjiro said that he's going to be kind of out of action after this, after using this. You know, and I assume that that's why the father was so frail last episode, because he probably used it too much. If it's about summoning Hinokami, who I assume is a godly figure, by Kagura dancing, then I assume that Hinokami, you're basically putting, like, you know, you're housing a god within your bodily frame, which I assume can't really contain it for that long. So, of course, using it is going to take it out of you. But regardless, he fucking used it. He got all the way up to the guy's neck. He had to take some attacks off Rui by himself. Nezuko came out and used the demon blood art, which she referred to as exploding blood, and exploded the fucking, like, you know, the webs. You know, and I have a theory about the sort of this counter demon blood art that she may have, and if that relates to somehow, you know, countering Muzan, then that would be very cool. But if you want to learn about that and you haven't seen my post discussion to episode 19, go have a look at that. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. I'm interested in this next episode coming up because obviously, I assume that we're going to get some backstory on Rui and the like, you know, maybe some reasoning as to why the way he is, and also what's going on with the little sister that we haven't got a name for yet, Demon, who's obviously been ordered by Rui and tormented, like, basically saying go out and kill the people who have shown up. So, you know, I hope she doesn't, but I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But anyway, yeah, that's all I've got. So we're going to get in episode 20 and see what we get. If you do want to go watch the actual reaction, then link is in the description below. There's also a link to the full length there if you do want to watch this, you know, in full and not just the 10-minute version. Then the link is there if you do want it. But yeah, nothing else to talk about. We're going to get in episode 20 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 20. Right, that was an interesting one because it kind of gave backstory through the sister, and it wasn't as much of a, like, obviously a flashback in regards to she didn't even get one. It was what she looked back on when she was alive, and the only thing we got was pretty much when she was part of that family, like how basically they integrate into the family, kind of, like, so to speak. And yeah, I don't feel bad for her. I think she was sly. I was thinking, like, you know, before the start of this episode, that yeah, I think it's easy to sort of kind of assume that she is, yeah, just being tormented. But I think I noticed that she uses it as an excuse. When she had Murata in that little fucking, like, cocoon thing that was gonna, you know, meld them and everything like that, like, the look on her face says it all. Like, if you didn't enjoy doing this, right, that would not be the look on your face, right? She was happy with that. And yeah, maybe it's a difference in, like, what she was before, when she was a demon before she was part of that family. But obviously when she was running away, like, obviously, you know, you're feeling sorry for her. She seems weak. and I don't know, maybe it is one of those things where it's like, well, she got power, and then that just fucking, just accelerated that whole thing. But like, the way she treated the other girl, like, just purely give her up, like, it's just fucking sly, isn't it? And like, the way that she was, I like the way that they did it though with her, because the thing that I basically just I despise her for is for what she did to the other girl by giving her up, right? Because it was a thing to save her own skin, first of all, and the other time that you could like argue there was like a choice to be made, and which choice did she decide to take, like, was when obviously with the whole Shinobu situation, and obviously like Shinobu's there basically saying that you've got to take punishment for all this, and essentially she'll be tortured. So one way she'll be tortured, another way she'll be tortured. So she got away with death, really. But it wasn't a case of like her asking for death. It wasn't a case of her being like, oh well, I'd rather die then. It was a case of like she liked what she was doing. She straight up lied when Shinobu asked how many he'd killed. I think she's sly. I think that's her personality. Like, she's a very sly one. Like, she's fine other people getting hurt as long as she stays out of the way, kind of thing. Like, I think she's just quick to just fuck other people over for her own sake. I feel like that's her down to a T. So yeah, I felt nothing for her. I was coming into this episode like ready for her to die, and be like, oh fuck, that's good. Because before this episode, I was thinking she wasn't that bad, but this was the episode that definitely called her out. So she's a sneaky one, and she got what she deserved in the end there. Oh god, yeah. So where do we go from here? Where do we start? I guess we'll start at the very beginning. So Rui cut off his own head to avoid the slash. That is a great move. That is so unexpected. Like, that is fantastic. Not only just in like the shock of it, but like the impact on like how the show goes from here on out, because of the sort of the advancement of Tanjiro. Like, it's the idea of the, like, at the end of last episode we were like, he's just killed 12 Kizuki member, and then in the beginning of this episode you realise he got outsmarted, and he didn't really. Now, he could have, but he didn't. So it means that Tanjiro isn't as good as we may have thought that he was, and it also means that technically is Tanjiro's real first loss. Like, he needed saving there, which is I think it is good to have, because up until this point Tanjiro has gotten through and taken care of all of them. So that was a sort of, I think, a good thing for the story that happened. And then, yeah, fucking Giyu coming to the rescue again, and having no trouble cutting through not just the strings, but also Rui's head with water breathing. The guy's a badass. What can I say? He's incredible. Giyu is insane. He had an 11th form, which I didn't write down, but it was like It was like dead calm or something like that. That I assume what it was like an area of effect kind of thing. That anything that went inside of it was cut down. Almost like is it in Hunter x Hunter? I think it's in. It's either in or it's N. One of them sort of has it's like a radius around the person that's obviously casting it, and anything that comes in is like sensed. I feel like it's almost a similar thing in that he set that up so that anything that penetrated the area of effect that that he was coveting there, he basically chopped down. And the fact that we didn't see the blade move once is great. It's one of the things that I love about Zenitsu's attacks as well, is that you never see the blade actually fucking leave the scabbard. And yeah, he's quick, man. He's so quick. He just completely fucking like just nothing. That was a 12 Kizuki member, and he didn't shed a sweat. Like it was unbelievable enough that he did that to the father demon, but he did that to a 12 Kizuki member. Yeah, lower 5, but fucking hell, like. If he was to go all out, there's nothing to really say that. Could he not just take on all the fucking Kizuki members? Not all at once, of course, but like I mean, like and Jesus, he's insane, man. Fuck. So yeah, bloody hell. Where do I go from here? I guess we'll go to, because I'm going all over the shop here. But I guess we'll go back to like so the whole Shinobu situation. So yeah, she is what she refers to as an insect Hashira. So I'm guessing Giyu's a water Hashira then. I guess it just determines like what breathing thingy they use. But Shinobu's insect breathing, that's what she uses. I would not have fucking thought. Like, okay, beast breathing, right? Fine, fair enough. I thought we were going down the elemental route with water breathing, and then with Zenitsu it's thunder breathing, right? And then when Inosuke for the first time uses beast breathing, I was like, what? But then it's like, alright, you know what I mean? I kind of get it. Insect breathing? What? I was not. That was like the last thing I was expecting there. Crazy. Just crazy. And she uses poison. I also like the fact that her blade is like, it's like sort of tipped at the end, almost like a stinger, almost, used for slight pierces and not like straight up chopping or slicing. It's an interesting little way to differentiate and have their characters have their own unique sort of quirky things, and the way that they do things, that like that sort of technique. But she uses poison, and I thought that it was wisteria, because it's the only other thing, right? The other thing was sunlight, and then wisteria. It makes sense that using wisteria, with it being a flora, that it would be used in creating a poison. But obviously it being just strictly demon poison, I mean, I'm almost tempted to say, like, because Shinobu was like, blowing her own trumpet a bit. She was blowing smoke up her ass a bit, like basically saying like, I don't know the exact quote, but she said like something along the lines of like, oh, like I'm great at that, or I'm good at that kind of thing. And it's like, I don't think it'd be that hard to create a poison for demons with wisteria. I mean, you literally just get wisteria, and you can ground it up into like a fucking paste. But she uses it in, like, within her scabbard. She has it that it's just this. I guess the sword is always tipped when it comes out of the scabbard, which is great because obviously, use of this sword is generally with the scabbard all the time. Like, it's not a case of like, well, you have it out, all the time. Like the sword goes back in the scabbard a lot more generally than like other sort of sword fighting techniques around the globe. The use of a scabbard over in Japan is generally used quite a lot. So it's actually a really, really cool way to have it in there. And I was wondering, before she even mentioned that it was in the scabbard, like, is it a case of it's tipped, which it is, every time she puts it in, the poison tips the blade. Or if it might have been a case that, unlike the other blades that are infused with metals that absorb sunlight, that it would have been a wisteria infused blade. But no, it's just the having the poison sort of just layer the blade and then take it as they will. Interestingly enough, though, that it makes sense. It makes sense why they wouldn't disappear and they don't disintegrate after the poison, because it is the sun that disintegrates them, which is why the likes of those swords that Tanjiro has or Giyu has will cause them to disintegrate, because the sunlight has obviously affected their cut, and then that's heading around them and disintegrating them. So, but the wisteria plant, like, the thing is that we've never seen a demon before this be affected with wisteria before. We've seen them we've been told that obviously they don't go past a certain point, whether it be like a wisteria field. I'm guessing they just can't touch wisteria. So I mean, if it's implanted within them, yeah, they're fucked. But yeah, so they don't die. This is interesting. It's very interesting. I wonder. So yeah, somebody did actually say this, because this was a question that I asked like a couple episodes ago about the demon, like without the head, that the mother was puppeteering, right? And I was like, how the fuck did that happen? And yeah, I forgot that back in episode 2 there was a demon that got his head cut off. Obviously Tanjiro cut it off with the hatchet or whatever. Oh no, Nezuko kicked the head off, and then obviously the body went running off. Like Nezuko, Tanjiro tackled him off the cliff, and the body went, and the body itself would regrow from the head, but the body itself would still remain. So yeah, like, somebody did answer that for me, but I was just thinking there, the reason why it flashed back up in my memory again was because I was wondering if that was the reason, like if it was a wisteria that killed the demon and get rid of the head. Obviously the demon's killed, so it'll not regenerate, and then you've got the body there that you can just puppeteer with. But no, I think it probably made more sense that it would be the what the person who answered was. Sorry, I can't remember your name. But yeah, the idea that the head was probably locked off, and then the head regrew the body somewhere else, and yeah, I don't know. Could have been the father's body, one of his. Who knows? But yeah, so there was that. Where am I at? Is there anything else with Shinobu that we should go into a bit? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense why. I mean, it was lucky, I suppose, that Shinobu was the one to find Zenitsu then. I mean, with her creating the poisons, I guess she wasn't really blowing her own trumpet in regards to that, but I assume that she can probably do more. She can probably create antidotes and things like that. She can be like a bit of an alchemist in that regard. Like, she's probably good with alchemy, and therefore she would have an antidote. Which is lucky fucking Shinobu found Zenitsu then, and not Giyu, and it wasn't like the other way around. But yeah, so I assume Zenitsu's just hanging out on top of that sort of house that's up in the trees, and just I assume getting better. But yeah, like she's interested in Shinobu. So what she does say is I mean, I kind of had her right and pegged in the way that she is that character trope that is very nice, sort of nicey on the outside, but she has that sort of underlying creepiness there, that creepiness factor, that scary factor. But it's interesting that she doesn't automatically go for somebody. She would spare a demon's life, given the fact that, like, depending on, obviously, you know, taking the punishment and anything like that. But yeah, so it wasn't just like shit she was talking about. It would be nice if demons were of, like, you know, if we could have demons as our friends or whatever. When she was saying that some episodes ago, that yeah, she really, like, does mean it. But yeah, so that's interesting. Where do we go now? Yeah, so I guess back into the sort of the flashback with the family members and all of that. There were more, and that I assume whatever it was that they got out of line or whatever. I assume Rui just fucking hung them up and waited till the sun came up. I assume, because we don't know where they were. You know what I mean? There was some young ones there. Even the mother. Now that one caught me off guard. I was not expecting that. I thought it was weird. Like, she wasn't one that I'd saw before. Like, when the lineup was there, like that wasn't a kid that I'd seen up there. And that power somehow grew her. But I'm trying to connect up to what her flashback was and everything. But it makes sense, though, why she was the way that she was. That, like, she had a motherly voice, but when she was when we actually saw her some episodes back, like, it makes sense now. Like, she didn't seem motherly. You know, like, it did seem like she was a bit childish in a way, and that totally makes sense now. Bless her. And her flashback was she remembered, like, somebody with kind eyes like Tanjiro's. And if she was a kid, I don't know. It could have been an older brother that she had. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it caught me off guard. But how that power works, it's interesting because it is similar to, like, what it is similar to Muzan's, like, giving his blood to power up those that have it. You know, and can take it, and then they're sort of made in his own image. It's interesting how that works. Like, Muzan obviously did it, and I suppose his own image could be just demons in general, but his blood, Rui's blood, turns them into, like, all that, you know, that color palette, that appearance. And I did say, obviously, during the reaction, like, I wonder if the blood also gives if the blood itself has a tie to the person, and therefore it, like, can affect them, if that means there is a connection there where Rui kind of knows what's going on, or has some, like, more control over them when, you know, they have his blood. I wonder if that is the case. There was a few things that would suggest that is the case. You know, but, like, I won't lie. Like, a lot of it was just down to fucking Rui just being the stronger one at the end of the day, and it was like, well, if you fuck up, Rui can fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. But the one girl obviously knew exactly what the fuck was going on. I think like, Rui, given his blood, he has some more control over them, because it said that what he would do was he would get rid of the intelligence of some of them if they got out of line. as well. So the fact that he can do that, you know, like, makes me believe that he must have something on them, right? Because, like, just physically, you know, attacking them wouldn't affect their intelligence, right? I don't think so. I mean, you can affect them psychologically, you know, like, and fuck it with the torment and stuff, but intelligence, I don't think you can affect that. It'd be also interesting to see, like, how the father and the other brother came about. Like, the fact that they've got actual spider features, I don't know. Like, that makes me think that those two were affected by intelligence. And, like, that's the physical representation of what Rui did to them. Like, they maybe stepped out of line at some point, so he just fucking, you know... Because it's easier to control those that have less intelligence, right? So I assume that that's the idea there. But yeah. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other thing that I want to talk about was the blood highlighted on Tanjiro's blade, right? So I mentioned it in the reaction. It should be in the 10-minute version, if I remember to put it in. But so obviously it was something we saw actually in the last episode as well. I just didn't fucking write it down. Was the blood that was on Tanjiro's blade, or what looked like blood, just before you strike through Rui's head. That sort of highlighted before going through. I said during the reaction, like, it would be cool if that was actually Nezuko's blood, and the demon art thing, if I was wrong about that and it's not like she's using somebody else's blood but she's actually using her own, that if that actually obviously landed on Tanjiro's sword and therefore it like ended up being a double team attack through the neck, that would have been cool. So yeah, I mean, few things up in the air then about how that actually works, because obviously last episode I was talking about how it seems like a counter blood demon art that she's got, but if she's using her own blood and it's, you know, she could just infuse it, I guess, with other thingies and just explode her own, which in turn obviously explodes theirs, then, you know, if that's how it works, then that's how it works. But yeah, I mean, I just thought, like, I'd write it down, talk a bit on it, just so you know that I actually did witness it. Because I don't think the actual dots were anything to do with the sword. The sword should be clean. Like, you know, it should be, you know, there shouldn't be any noticeable things on it. So yeah, it would be cool. Yeah, that would have been cool. Like, if that attack specifically, like, was, you know, a mixture of both of, like, you know, the Hinokami breathing fucking slice, and then also the exploding blood demon art as one attack. Just having them, like, just connect up that way, it would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. So yeah, really, really cool set of episodes there, but we're not finished with them yet, because you know, next week it's going to be more of the backstory of Rui, I assume, and we're going to get a flashback, and I'm guessing he's got his memories back. That's next week for the patrons, but you know, for YouTubers only, when this is out on YouTube, you can go over to my early access tier on Patreon and get access to episode 21 and 22 right now, so you don't even have to wait if you don't want to. So yeah, over on my Patreon, of course, the early access, like I said. There's also the full length tier there as well, if you do want to watch any of these you know, reactions in full and not just the 10-minute version. And there's also other tiers where you can pay to have a show reacted to as well. So if you want me to react to a certain show, then yeah, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. There's also a link to the Discord in the description as well, so if you want to get over there, you can do. But yeah, that's all I got this week for Demon Slayer. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.